Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today is the weekly close, so it is very important for the weekly candle, to close above this bull market support band. And speaking of weekly candles, let's take a look at it. Well, we do have somewhat of a bullish hammer candle. It looks pretty good. Remember, we had one back over here, and that came right down, back tested the bull market support band, and got bought right back up. It was a pinpoint nailed perfectly. This one here, it seems like it's got a little bit more momentum coming down, but this weekly candle is basically going to allow us to survive another week, considering if we close above 61.5K, right? So we're above 62K, which is good. So it's gonna, present some a potential, basically we're gonna survive another week here, right? Because we don't want to close below the bull market support band. The last time we did that over here, and look how many weeks it took to recover that, right? It took about 10 weeks down in here for us to fully recover the bull market support band. So you can see back over here, we actually cut it pretty close. You can see we came to the lower part of the band, but we held it pretty nicely. Every bull market basically holds above the bull market support band. You can see this one, we didn't even touch it really. Especially this bull market back over here, you can see we wick below it, but we never had a close below it, which is important in an actual bull run. So we're not in a bull run yet. We still have to, break above all-time highs and go into an expansion. And we still only have 3 waves. So it's, again, we're still right at that inflection point. We're basically inside of this range in here. And I would say this is more of a bullish thing than a bearish thing, because number one, you're allowing time to pass, right? The price can correct either through price or through time. Time is just as important as price. So you can see back over here, right? We had 5 waves up and we consolidated bullishly here above this 3rd wave. So here's our 3rd wave top right there, just like this is our 3rd wave top right here. So we actually have quite a bit of wiggle room from where we are now to down here to this 3rd wave. Back over here, we actually broke out, right? And we came all the way back down and back tested that 3rd wave, but the breakout wasn't big, so we didn't have that much room from the top to the top of this 3rd wave here. Whereas this one had a much bigger pump to the upside here, right? So that means you have much more downside potential to backtest this 3rd wave, right? So what we have, right, is essentially, until proven otherwise, we're looking at this as bullish consolidation. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into a ABC, a flat, right? A rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways breakout. And to me, that is kind of what's happening now. We have a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, but we need to start going sideways in here, just like we were going sideways in here. You can see we broke below the bull market support band, then went sideways, right? So is that what's happening here, right? If we're breaking below the bull market support band, it's okay, but we don't want to go too far away from it, or it's going to be much harder to break later on. So we really need to go sideways here on this bottom part of this range, right? Or basically reaccumulation. The initial idea was to have us go into reaccumulation sort of in the mid, basically you have the bottom of the range, the top of the range, basically going into reaccumulation here in the middle. But that didn't happen. We came back down to the lower part. That's okay. We still have another chance to get it. But if we fail and we can't go into reaccumulation, instead we start breaking down further, then we still have one more chance. So really we have two chances to succeed at this bull run. Either it's going to be a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, we go sideways, then we break out just like the last time, or if that fails, this is going to be an A, this is going to be a B, and this is going to be a C. So basically a three-wave pullback, right, which is also very bullish. You can see back over here is a good example of a three-wave pullback right here, right? You have an A, you have a B, and you have a C. You have a three-wave pullback. And on a weekly chart, right, is even more significant, a three-wave pullback. You can see right here you have an A, B, C as well. Sometimes the three-wave pullbacks can be in the formation of a flat, like this one here, right, was an A, B, C and a flat pattern. But this is just a regular A, B, C if we do break below. And what we're going to want to hold for sure here is this sort of middle area, between that, really, on the weekly scale, 45 up to 54K is going to be that area. We ideally we want to stay above 48, 50K. So yeah, that's basically about it for Bitcoin here. This three-way pullback, if we do get it, we're gonna want to hold this area. If we start breaking below this area and we start getting sort of five waves, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it starts to turn into 5, then we got a problem. Because now either this is going to be the start of a bear market, or basically just prolonging the bear market, or what I think is most likely going to happen if we do break below is to go into reaccumulation on the macro, right? So similar how this went into reaccumulation back over here, we had a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation. We went sideways and then we broke out. So if that happens again, then we could see, that's provided, that's provided if this is a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways breakout, great. But if that fails, we have the ABC pullback down here to 50K, back test, build a base, then breakout. If that fails, then we're going to go into basically a macro reaccumulation where you have a rise, crash, retrace. And this retrace was a very big retrace. It actually broke above the all-time high, but it didn't do it with conviction. So we can only treat it as a retrace, right? And then once you're done with that retrace, you come on down, right? It's going to look like an ABC. It's going to look bullish. But if you have another wave and you get 5 waves, now you have a 5-wave move down, right? Which means you probably get a 3-wave back up, and then maybe another 5 back down, and then you're basically kind of going sideways in here, right? Building a base. Hopefully in this middle range between 30 and 50K is really the ideal spot you want to be in for reaccumulation, right? We don't want to break below 30, and we definitely don't want to break below 25. And you say 25K, there's no way it would break below that. I mean, yeah, I agree. There's, it's probably not going to break it, but I'm just saying, this is our basically, our strong area in here, right? This is like our reinforcement here between 25 and 30K is, our very strong, you got a support beam right in here. And then also, even coming through here at the top of this, right? So that area is going to be a very strong area if we do have to come back down into reaccumulation, right? So just one more time, let me just put that up there because it looks really good, right? You have all the support here, right? The support here, even somewhat right there, the top of this here, and then you have the top of all of this here, and then you have the bottom of this here. So there's a lot of support structure in this area, and this was a massive breakout above that support beam, right? So there's always a possibility that this thing has to come all the way back down and back test the top of that support beam, right? So I mean, if this is the, you know, between 25 and 30,000 is the strongest part of the chart. That is where you have the most support, right? And then you have a little bit of a thin, or I wouldn't say thin, but it's pretty strong area around 39, 40K. So you do have a very strong, also another strong area around 40K up to about 47K. Right, so the bottom of these closes in here, the top of this one, the top of this one, and the bottom of here. So it'd be better if I just put a little range. Let's see, let me get it right there. Yeah, so this is our range. So we really have three areas, right? The first range, the second black line here, and then the big strong support. Right? So again, if we can't get this ABC down here to that first support and hold it, then we have another area down in here, right? And if that kind of fails as well, we go down in here into reaccumulation. Heck, we might even get reaccumulation up here, right? I mean, this whole thing could be reaccumulation. We just don't really know yet, right? If this range, sort of like this range here, was sort of you know, kind of going into reaccumulation. You come up, you're retracing, and then you go sideways, right? We come up, and now we're going sideways. So if this thing gets extended out to here, and we're still range bound, that's actually going to be bullish, and I'm going to treat that as reaccumulation. So there's, you know, that's kind of a new idea. I haven't really presented so far, is basically, well, actually I have actually a long time ago, basically saying that, you know, when we were looking at this kind of like as a shoulder, and then we come up here, we can have another shoulder in here. But more so than that, basically a range at the top of this, right? A range at the top of the range, right? So this is our all-time high. This is a slightly higher all-time high. So essentially, we're trying to billow up support. We're trying to, you know, continue to create those layers of strength so that we can break out, because this is a pretty long leg here. From 2023, we're at the bottom, we're going up, 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 up. So you're just continuing going up, and this is a support area on this leg. So this whole leg, it needs support, right? Or it's going to topple over. Well, we had a little bit of a support down here. We have a stronger support here, right? And now this leg is a little bit extended with no actual support. And so we have a little one here, but it doesn't look like it's finished. It looks like A, it needs to be bigger, right? Go into reaccumulation down here. Or B, it needs to come down to a lower area and back test, right? Like, you know, like the 50K area, right? Somewhere in there. And if that doesn't hold, then we have the 30K area, which is right here. So this is the big area that I would like to see. If that ABC fails and this range fails, then essentially this is it right here. Rise, crash, retrace. We come down. It's going to look very bearish. It's going to feel very bad, but it's actually, all it's doing is all of this area right here and all of this area right here, it's coming down to back test that area, right? Because we broke this major area between 25 and 30K. We broke it. So there's always a chance you can come down here and back test it, and kind of, you know, it can create a bull flag like this, right? It can go sideways like that, something like that, right? Where essentially it looks somewhat like this, right? Where you come up and there's no, see, notice this one, it went straight up. There's very little support here. There was no support in the middle. So it needed this big long thing. This one, luckily we have this support here and a bigger support here, which means we probably, if we have to come down into reaccumulation, we don't need something this big, because this one went, you know, basically straight up. This one went up, back down, sideways, back, you know. So it took more of time, and it had much more, it was much more methodical going up. And, you know, there's more volume in the, you know, the profile of this chart here. There's more volume layered inside of these, basically there's support beams. So those are the three ideas for Bitcoin. Let's jump into the smaller time frame. Now, just real quick here on the weekly chart, we are going to close above this lower piece right here, but you can see we're still trending up, right? But the green part is actually starting to level off here, so we don't want these to start angling to the downside, right? This one back over here, you can see it angled to the downside, but we stayed within reason, right? We actually built a base down here to get us out. So yeah, so the weekly candle, you know, it looks pretty good. You know, we have a bullish hammer candle. We did so over here, right? We had one here too, but it wasn't quite finished yet. So we'll see how it goes. So let's zoom in here to the daily chart, and you can see what do you see? Right, you can see exactly what we were talking about, which is what? Building a base. That's what we want, right? We came down here, and this was, again, we were getting oversold here. We're getting very oversold, right? We haven't been in this oversold territory on the daily chart since back last August. So basically a year ago, we haven't been this oversold since a whole year. So this move down, look how far it went down. It went down pretty big, right? But that was nowhere near the oversold conditions on the RSI as this, because this is like overlap, it's wavy. This is more of a sort of a sharp move to the downside. So those sharp moves can be dangerous at times, right? Because they can turn into big impulse waves. So, you know, one of the things I talked about last week was getting down here and essentially forming a base, right? Because the original idea is to have this area tested and held right in here and go into reaccumulation. We could not get that, so we have to move it down here, right? And it's still good. We still haven't made a lower low yet, right? Our low is 56,500. So we made a higher low, which comes in at about 58,500. So it was a $2,000 difference between those two lows, right? So what we want to see here is for support to get held in here, right? Because we have support, you know, right here on these closes around that 60K area, and then also over here. So we're kind of, you know, stuck in between these closes and this close here. So we're basically, you know, coiled in there. So yeah, we're building a range, which is exactly what we want to see. So now either this range is going to hash out a bottom and we're going to get a reversal or a retracement. So if this thing gets hashed out in here and then we start going up in three waves, it's going to look bearish because it's in a three-way move. But if this thing hashes out a base and we have an impulse like this and then a three-wave pullback, it's going to look bullish, right? Because you're going to get those 5 waves, and that would be the area to actually go long, or even on a back test down in here, right? Depending how big that will get. So, you know, that's pretty much it for the bullish idea. But for the still the bullish idea what we could have here is a fourth wave. So yes, it's essentially building a base, but what it's really doing here, and let me actually go down to maybe the 8-hour chart so we get a little bit more definition here. We had the, you can see the price is actually making a pretty interesting comeback here. It's actually toward back at the top of the range, right? So let me just put this, here's the top and then here's the bottom. You can see we went to the top, and then also let me get, obviously we're back above the bull market support band, so let me just get rid of that so we can see it very clearly here. The three-way pullback, I'm going to jump into that in a second, but essentially what I was going to say is this could be obviously an A, B, C, a flat, which means we don't have to have an expanded flat all the way back down to 50K. Instead, the C leg finishes up without breaking below the A wave low, which means you need 5 waves in wave C. Okay, so if we have wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, this could be, like I said last week, a wave 4 where we pop up here and it's going to seem bullish. It could seem bullish, right? And either this can turn in to a 5-wave move, or it's going to come back down and finish up that 5th wave. So we're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that's what you want to see. We want 5 waves down. Why do we want 5 waves down? Because when I turn on that RSI, I want conviction. If I'm going to put my hard-earned money into this market for a trade, right? I'm not talking about investing. I'm not talking about hodling, right? Is the best time to buy for an investment, the best time to buy for hodling is yesterday, right? It's always going to be yesterday. The best time to buy for an investment is for Bitcoin or for crypto is always, basically meaning anytime, right? Especially when you've been going down for how long here? So the top here was at June 6th. And we're sitting here at, essentially the end of June. So basically we've been going down for the whole month, just going down, down, down. So June has been a very bad month for crypto, and historically it always is, right? If you look at, the percentage, the ROIs, or, how well it holds up in the month of June, it's usually a bad month. And, it is what it is. For me, I'm like, hey, let's just get the bad month out of the way, and we can be done with it. But what I'm trying to say here is we want 5 waves down. Number one, because we get 5 waves, right? Which is going to have a lot of confidence here going in for a long position. Not to say that, we could be long already, right? But for a trade, it's kind of like a wait and see. Now, if you're more of a swing trader, it's different. But if you're a day trader, you could be trading the top of this range in here and make a lot of money. But if you're more of a swing trader, like I prefer to be, capitalizing on the bigger move, not just these small day-to-day price ranges, then you're going to want to see some bullish divergence here, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 waves, so that's wave A. We come up here, 1, 2, 3, so that's wave B, right? And now we have 1, 2, 3. We only have 3 waves. So either if this is a 5, 3, 3, that doesn't really make sense. So to me, either it's if this is 3 waves, then that's a W, and this is an X, and this is a Y. But look how long this wave is compared to this wave. It just doesn't seem proportional for it to be a WXY. So that's why I think it's very likely, even, I should say, it's very possible that this could be a 4th wave here. And basically, it feels like a bottom. It's building a base. It's doing all the right things. And it very well could be, and I will be cheering for that. But if we do come up and we do come back down, and you can see the RSI is already angled up. So if it goes up a little bit more, as the price, breaks this range to the upside, remember, it's only going to be a 1, 2, 3, a 3-wave move. So then if it comes back down in five waves, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to finish up wave 5, then what we're going to want to see is the RSI come down as well. But notice the price had a new low. So here's your low, here's a lower low. But the RSI comes up, comes down, makes a higher low. So here's your low, here's a higher low. So the RSI is going up, price is going down, going up. That is bullish divergence. And then right here is where you want to go long. Right here is where you want to go long, not financial advice, right? Now, you can even be even more conservative than that. For example, if that is still not enough to convince someone to take a stab at going long, and I don't see why not, because number one, you're at the bottom of support. Number two, you have 5 waves. Number 3, you have bullish divergence. And if I turn on the higher time frames here, like let's say the 3-day chart, I believe we're almost getting a 9 soon. Or do we have a 9? Okay, yeah, so we're on a 7 right now. It's not going to be a real good perfected 9 if we do get it. I guess it could be if this candle finishes where it's at, the 8 candle turns red, and then the 9 candle goes below that, I can see it. Let's see what the 4-day candle looks like. We're on a 6. Okay, the 5-day candle. Okay, yeah, so what about the 2-day here? Okay, yeah, there we go. So the 2-day is on a 9. So we already had a 2-day 9, and it looks really good. I like the way it looks, and this could be the bottom, right? This could be the bottom. We might not need that 5th wave to the downside, right? So what do you do in that situation? It's like, well, I have some spending money here, and I want to buy crypto, but I'm not sure if I should wait to get a better entry. And again, my answer to that is dollar cost averaging, right? If you already bought this range, right? So for example, let's say, everybody has a paycheck. Everybody works. Most people work. Most people get a paycheck. Most people, take a percentage of that and buy crypto, right? Maybe not every week or every month, but when they're able or when they want to. So let's say you have, I don't know, let's say you have $500 that you saved up over the course of maybe 2 months, right? And if you see this 3-wave move here, that would have been an interesting spot to dollar cost average, right? And then wait. So if you have $500, maybe $50, and then it drops below lower, now you could put in another $100. So the further it goes down, the higher your input should be. And then you basically wait, let it go back up, and then it comes back down. Now you have 5 waves and you have bullish divergence. Now you can put in $200, right? So now you have $150 left, right, of your $500 spend, and you bought a lot of it down here. So then what you want to wait for, right, is 5 waves. So then let's say you build a base in here, and then you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You get 5 waves up. Instead of buying that, now you want to wait for an ABC pullback. Say now, okay, I have the bullish divergence. I have 5 waves. I have a 2-day 9 and a 3-day 9. I have an ABC structure. I have 5 waves off the end of the C leg. So now what? So now I want to wait for an ABC pullback. Back down to back test the range. Then I would take the remainder of that $150 and put it in right there. And that, my friends, is how you get it done, right? Now, it's easy to say it in hindsight, right? It's harder to actually live in the moment, right? That's why, I recommend subscribing to my channel if you haven't already, and always drop a comment, let me know what you think, and hit that like button. It really, helps out a small channel like mine reach more people who want to, get a better fine-tuned edge when it comes to looking at charts, right? I mean, my videos are historically more for the longer side and more for the, the hands-on approach, as opposed to just a quick 5-10 minute rundown of what the price is actually doing. Now, I'm trying to, be a little bit better about that and kind of offer a variety, right? Maybe some longer videos, maybe some shorter videos, but most of them I would say are training videos, so that you can see the thought process of how I'm going about examining the wave structure, so that eventually, you know, you can do it on your own and you can kind of see what people are seeing. Because, you know, having a crypto bag that succeeds, in my opinion, is going to happen regardless if I say what the wave structure is or if anybody says, right? Because we're all investing for a reason, because we believe crypto will eventually have a macro impact on the world and continue to grow as an asset class. So you don't need me to tell you that. The whole point with charts is to, you know, as an investment trading strategy, to make money off of, right? Because you can just buy crypto and just forget it for the next couple of years and then, hey, come back and you're rich. Or you can methodically pick your entries and trade crypto, also invest, and then you can get better entries, better exits, and then you can kind of know where we are in a cycle, right? If it's getting ready time to buy, getting ready time to sell. So me having these longer videos kind of going through that process of how we examine what the structure is and where we are in the cycle and what phase we're in, right? Are we in a crashing phase? Are we in a retracement phase? Are we in a, you know, a reaccumulation phase? Are we in a full-blown bull market phase, right? So, you know, and then we have to figure out, okay, what's the wave structure and what's the count and where we are, and there's a lot of things, right? So going through that thought process is the reason why I'm, you know, doing these videos, is so I can go through it so that you can kind of feel, you know, based off what you're doing yourself, is you know, getting as much confluence as you can to make a risk-adjusted trade, because it's all about risk at the end of the day when you're doing these things, right? But again, as a trader, as an investor, as a hodler and an investor, there's a lot less risk, because you're, number one, you're spot buying, and number two, you're not worried about what it's going to do over the short time frame, because when you zoom all the way out, this thing is in a macro bull market, right? We've never had a macro bear market in Bitcoin's history, which is the concerning part, right? If I zoom all the way out on the price of Bitcoin here, you can see this thing is a little bit intimidating, because first of all, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 waves here. So that's why this could turn into something bad, like an A, B, C, right? Something big like this, right? Where, you know, we have 5 waves up here. So the whole entire bull market, the whole Bitcoin chart has never been in a bear market. It's been going up, 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 up forever. And with these little pullbacks in between here, right? But these little things right here don't compare to the larger move that it's in. So since we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's possible we can get an A, B, and C. Or what's even more likely, I don't think Bitcoin's going to go down that far because of how much demand there is for it, especially at cheaper prices, but more so going into reaccumulation. Now, I really like the 3-week chart here. I mean, it perfectly called the top here on the last cycle. And look at this. We also are on a 9. So that's a little bit concerning here. You know, usually you want a 1 to 4 candle correction and then a breakout. But you can see we have a very tough time of getting above these red dots here. So, you know, that 9 cell actually called the top perfectly here on the weekly chart. And it printed those red dots, and until we can break those red dots about 73.8K, you know, we're considered bearish, right? Because, I mean, we have a 9 cell. So, you know, these green dots down here can offer a lot of support for reaccumulation. So, you know, again, when I was looking at those 5 waves, yeah, you can get, you know, an ABC, but what's more likely is coming down here for reaccumulation and going sideways, right? Because I do believe 2025, 2026, if we have to go down into reaccumulation and it takes a lot longer than we think, then we're going to have a really bullish 2025, 2026. Number one, because we're going to have a new president. Number two, that president's going to be pro-crypto, right? Number three, we're going to have more regulation, right? Because, you know, the House and the Senate is going to be different, most likely pro-crypto Senate, right? That's why you want to vote for John Deaton for Senate and get rid of Elizabeth Warren. She's an anti-crypto. She wants to, you know, Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, they all want to get rid of your crypto. And now you have a lot of Democrats coming out and saying, oh, we're not going to do that. But they're just saying that just so that, you know, they basically lie to get into office, and then they turn around and then they don't do the work, or they do the opposite of what they said they were going to do, right? So, you know, for me, we just had the Bitcoin ETF, we just had the Ethereum ETF, we just had a crypto bill passed, and now we have an election coming up, right? So we have good things going for crypto. On the bad side, we have an economic, you know, hardship. We have inflation. We have the Federal Reserve, right? You know, the whole interest rate debate, lower or hold or whatever. No matter what they do, it's screwing over our money system. So that will impact most likely the bond market, the stock market, which then acts on the dollar as well, which then all acts on crypto. So I believe crypto is going to come out of this much stronger, right? Because you got to think about it as a purge, right? Sometimes the market needs to purge. It needs to deleverage itself, right? And if you had a big cataclysmic stock market crash and a big financial crisis like 2008, I think, you know, at that moment, there's going to be a transition to a better alternative system. And crypto's already there. The infrastructure's already built out. It's already right there. So when this thing fails, you know, we have basically another bike to jump onto and ride it out. So that's why I'm saying, if we do go down here, right, between 30 and 50K, and Trump, you know, becomes president, and then we also have another, you know, we need that regulation, because regulation is what really drives adoption. It's what really drives demand, because now people can, you know, institutions, retirements, 401ks, hedge fund, you know, they all can participate knowing that there's a legal framework behind what they're doing, right? And then also it's going to push much more innovation, because a lot of people don't want to spend, like, think about, like, let's say you're a 24-year-old and you're in college, right? And you want to do blockchain and things like that. You might have some of them saying, you know what, I don't really want to do it because there's not a lot of framework. I don't want to waste, you know, 3 years of my life learning a trade that's only going to be outlawed later on or not regulated later on, and basically waste my college tuition or whatever on something that's not going to pan out. But now if we have actual regulation, then you're going to have a lot more, you know, people in school inspired to create more innovation, and innovation drives more problem solving, more utility, right? So all of this stuff is going to be born into a new era, you know, again, with a new president. And I think if everything goes, you know, right, we're going to have a very bright crypto future. And I think it's going to happen regardless, because, you know, trying to destroy crypto is only going to hurt them even worse. But the difference is the speed in which we can obtain that goal. And I think that's going to happen, you know, if we do go down and reaccumulate down here between 30 and 50K, we're going to have some consolidation phase, right? And now this consolidation phase can break down and then go up, right? And basically a three-wave move, or it's going to go into reaccumulation and break out. So similar to how you can kind of see this, what happened over here. So for example, we had a reaccumulation phase, but you can see it broke to the downside and it basically faked everybody out, right? So we came up, we came down, we went into reaccumulation, we went down, we grabbed that liquidity, and then we came up, right? So that can happen again, right? If the ABC fails, if the reaccumulation fails up here, we have to go into macro reaccumulation. We go sideways, we can come down, take out the low, get everybody bearish, but as a liquidity grab, and then take it up. So again, if we do come down here, I think we're going to have a very bullish 2025, 2026, right? Maybe not all of 2025, but certainly 2026, because that's going to be right in the middle of Trump's pro-crypto presidency, right? That's going to be after, you know, Republicans and Democrats can actually hash out a bill, right? So allow some time in between him being president and him getting informed, you know, advisors, right? Because he needs trusted advisors for the crypto, and crypto is really not at the top of the list. I mean, you have so many other things he's probably going to focus on, right? And then maybe crypto will be like the year later or the next year, right? So, but eventually, once we get that thing passed by the president, I think this thing's going to fly to the upside. So, regardless of what happens now, I mean, we have a very bright future for crypto. And that is why I hodl, right? Even though if we do have to come down here, that's not going to make me sell my position, right? I'm building a position so that I can, you know, hold on to it for a while before I sell it, right? And the longer I can wait, the more I can build that position. And the more confident I am, that position will drastically improve my financial situation alongside yours, right? So, but is there pain in between now and then? Yeah, of course. There could be always pain here, right? But it could be as simple as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then once we get up here, we go into distribution, A, B, C. And that's when you get the alt season, right in here, right? So then we could have a chance to finally let go of some of our crypto. And then, right, because I don't feel comfortable. Because if you look at altcoins, I mean, they're still way down here on their cycle lows. So there's no reason to sell those. And if we get 5 waves up in Bitcoin, you know, transition over here to like total 3, right? Or let's actually go to THETA, right? I mean, we're still way down here. So, I mean, so far we've only had 1, 2, 3, right? So if Bitcoin has, you know, Bitcoin's up here and it has that 5th wave, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it kind of pulls back, it kind of goes into a distribution. That's when we can see the altcoins really start to accelerate fast, right? And that's when we can, you know, take profit, sell, right? But I'm not going to do that until, you know, for example, THETA breaks the all-time high, or total 3 breaks the all-time high, or whatever coin I'm holding fulfills its duty, right? So, you know, this can turn into a larger accumulation, right? But, you know, it's going to depend on Bitcoin getting that 5th wave. If Bitcoin has to go down into reaccumulation, I'm looking at THETA as well coming back into this range here and essentially, you know, working itself out. But inevitably, we still need to get into the retracement levels. I mean, we barely nicked it here back in October when I first started making videos. Basically what I said here when THETA was at 64 cents was I want to see THETA get into the retracement levels. We barely nicked the retracement level, so technically it did get there, but I'm still looking for a lot higher prices to come, So, you know, Bitcoin is definitely at a very dangerous spot here. And then partly it's because it ran out of steam, right? It came down here. It didn't have so much of a big base. The only support it has is this little guy here, right? So, you know, we have this big long leg. So here's a leg that has a base, and then here's another leg. So that's really all you have, right? So I don't know if that reaccumulation fails, which is probably can. It wouldn't surprise me at all because of how extended this is. We could get something bigger in ABC down here, right? And again, if that fails, we go into reaccumulation. But just to show you Bitcoin right here, you can see we actually, right, you actually have a lot of you know, support. We have breakout, we go sideways. And that's another thing too. Like if you compare, you know, here's the bottom and then there's the breakout to what happened over here. Here's the bottom and here's the breakout. You can see we had one base here, but not that much as to compared to over here, because right here you actually have a triple bottom, 1, 2, 3, right? So you have a really strong base here to start it off, and then you come up and then you go sideways again for I think like almost 6 months here, right? You build another base and then you break out and then you kind of go sideways again, right? So you're going up, going sideways, going up, going sideways, going, you know, you're building these bases, and then that's when it can get more impulsive. But if you get too impulsive too early on, you can see right here we didn't build any of those bases. So we got too impulsive too early on, which required the price to go into this massive sort of accumulation phase, right? So now you fast forward to where we are here. We do have a little bit of support beams in here, right? Obviously we have this one in here. We broke out and then we went again, but there's a long distance between here and all the way up here. So there's a big gap. Basically the gap is between here and the top of here, right? So that's the gap, or actually right there, right? So that's the gap that we can fall to. So again, when you have these bottoms in here and you're starting to move up, you want to build support. That's why when we were right here, I was thinking this was going to take a lot longer. If this thing would have went sideways right here, and now you fast forward to where we are June, and then it breaks out, that would have been a huge breakout, because we would have had this, basically this big table here to jump off of. So now, obviously that didn't happen. You basically had a little, you know, like a little pivot point right in here. So again, it's certainly possible for this thing to either expand out a little bit and build more of a base, or actually, you know, break down a little bit, come down here, take this whole wave right here, and you cut it in half, that 50% line, and then basically build out another base right in here, right? To kind of support you. You know, this is kind of like your slingshot in here to get us out. Right? So there's still a lot of work to be done. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But the most simple thing it can do, you might not get so much of a big bull run, but just basically go sideways in here and then break out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? You have a range in here, and you get up here to what, 80, 100K, and then that's the top right here. So the top isn't that far away relative to where we are now. It's just would make a much more bigger impact on alts than it would on Bitcoin itself, right? So, you know, when I take it off linear or log scale, it looks something like that. And then once we have those 5 waves up here, right, this is just the basic simple way. Same thing like this. It was very basic, right? A basic reaccumulation. But that would really tell the altcoins, okay, you know, it gave them, you know, the altcoins are looking at Bitcoin thinking, hey, if Bitcoin can do it, I can do it too, right? So, you know, even though they're still way down in here, altcoins move a lot faster than Bitcoin does. So all it takes is if Bitcoin gets 5 waves up in here and then it kind of goes into a distribution range, that's when you have rotation out of Bitcoin into the altcoins, and that's when we can see big powerful rallies. For example, like THETA, you know, or actually let me just put THETA on side by side here, you know, and let me zoom out there. There we go. You can see where THETA is relative to where Bitcoin is. So if we did go in that, I mean, this is the best case scenario, right? I'm not saying this is going to happen, but you have a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways. We hold strong here, and then this starts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you can see, you know, THETA as well, building a little base here alongside that. You know, it back tested its Wyckoff range, right? And that's the thing, THETA has a much bigger range, right? A lot of them like have a much bigger range because they spent more time down in here, right? Whereas Bitcoin didn't spend as much time. So if we get one more push to the upside, you know, this big wave base here offers a big, you know, chance for a big move here, especially because we have a 1, 2, right? It's kind of hard to see, but we have a 1, 2, 1, 2. And again, if we get into this distribution, we can have a big push to the upside, a big 1, right? And then 2, 3, right? And even breaking out, right? So something pretty big. And all it would take is just one Bitcoin wave, right? Because I mean, you can see that's exactly what happened before here, right? I haven't shown this in a while, but really THETA's bull market started, let me remove this, there we go, and let me see if I put it on log, would it be better? Kind of. Okay, so you can see right here THETA is just going sideways, right? But Bitcoin has been going up a little bit, and then Bitcoin's going up, but you can see THETA's been going sideways with a little bit of upward momentum, right? And now Bitcoin has one more wave, and now it gets to the final tippy top up here, and THETA is still right here. This is where THETA breaks out, right there. So this candle right here was actually the big breakout that sent it into the bull market. This was just all, you know, nothing, right? It was just going flat with a little bit of upward momentum, where Bitcoin was going up long before, and then it got to the very top here. And once it got to the very top, the bull market was over. But guess what? It was just starting for THETA and many other coins, right? So, and you know, it only took, this is the 8-day chart, so 8, 16, 24, 32. It only took 32 days for Bitcoin, or for THETA, to complete its bull market. 8, right? Is that right? Yeah, 8, 16, 24, 32. Yeah. So it took, you know, basically a month for THETA to get from its low here. I don't remember what the price was, to its top up here. So you know, that is a very you know, a very easy task for an altcoin to do that. Let's see. Yeah, so basically it was from here, right? It was already up quite a bit. Yeah, so that was basically the whole bull run right there, from, yeah, the mid 50-cent range all the way up to almost $15-16, right? So that, you know, and Bitcoin had already topped out. So basically Bitcoin topped out right here, and that's when THETA started to go, right? So if that's the case and we get something like that, right? Let me take everything off the screen here. If that's the case, then it's only going to take a month, right? Let's say Bitcoin gets up here after it's done consolidating, right? Maybe it's an ABC, and then we go up. Whatever the case may be, we have that final wave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We get that final 5th wave up here, right? And that's what really sends it to the upside. And then the little pullbacks, we get little pullbacks, and then it kind of goes into distribution. Now it's done. Bitcoin is done. It's going into distribution. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves. We have 5 in the 5th wave. And now we're basically going sideways in here. That's when theta can really catch up and actually break out and go parabolic. Right? So I mean, it's definitely possible. We'll see how it goes. But if that doesn't happen, you know, what's going to happen here? Then, right, we're going to go down between 30 and 50K and kind of go into reaccumulation, then break out later on. Basically, you know, you're building these bases in here, and now you're building a very big, strong base in here, which will offer much higher prices. And if we get something like this, if we get a reaccumulation phase like this, maybe it's half the time, whatever the case may be, I think we can get beyond 100,000. Right? Because that's the thing, it's all about time, you know, into price, right? The more time it takes for the price to do something, the more able it is to get a higher price. But you see how fast this went up? So there's not a lot of support, which means it's getting exhausted, right? So we can still hit 100K, but it's going to be a lot harder because we only have this amount of base building in here, right? So that's what I'm saying. If we extend this out a little bit and get a bigger base, you know, again, the bigger the base, the higher in space, right? So we can, you know, if this thing gets a little bit bigger, we can actually, you know, have a bigger wave in here. So we actually want more time to pass. Let's see, that would take us to the end of November. So I wouldn't mind being in this range, right? If we want the best bang for our buck, right? Because you know, all of us put our money into crypto. We all want the best bang for our buck. So the best bang for our buck is actually this thing going more sideways. Actually, from now to the end of October. So if this thing can just continue to go sideways in here all the way up to October and then break out, again, October, November, December is usually the most bullish time for crypto. That in spring, we could have a big push to the upside. And since this thing has gotten a lot bigger, right, because now it's only half that size, right? But if we get basically you know, double that size, we can actually, you know, depending on how much momentum Bitcoin has, it can maybe even get us beyond 100K. We'll see. But as of right now, as it stands, I'm looking at about 80, 84K. So not much, right? Yeah, again, if we build a bigger base in here, this is going to give us a bigger shot at going higher. Because you know, a lot of people, we all want it to go now. But be careful what you wish for, because if this thing did go now, it would probably only get to about 80, 85K before coming back down, right? But if it built a bigger base in here, right? Because remember, you have a lot of gap between here and here, right? You have this little ankle, you know, right in here, but not much. So yeah, time is just as important as price. But anyways, let me look at the small time frame real quick. Let me get to the 1 hour. Now, what I was saying here is, this thing, we did have this move up, and I did say, right, we had this three-way pullback, right? When we were up here, we wanted that three-way pullback. We got it. Look at this. One, we had A, B, C. We had a three-way pullback, and then we had a 1, 2. This could hopefully turn into another push up like that, and the whole thing could be an ABC, and then we can still go down and get that 5th wave. Remember, I was talking about getting that bullish divergence here. So it's going to be interesting to see what this week brings, but essentially, you know, either we're going to continue building the base in here, or we're going to break out and then come back down and create that divergence. So it's kind of hard to say right now. Again, we have that three-way pullback. Let's see if we can get a little bit more momentum up here. We're at the top of the range, right? And this is exactly what I said, you know, or this is exactly what THETA did, right? So just look at this real quick. right here, take a mental screenshot. You have this, and I'm going to go over that hour mark, so make sure to hit that like button, because every time I go over an hour, it kills the algorithm. So we have that spike up here, right? And then we have this three-way pullback. And then we get right back to the top of it right here. And this is actually what I tweeted out. So remember this chart right here, this was actually theta. It actually had the same thing. You see the yellow was 5 waves, and then the blue was the three-wave pullback. And where Bitcoin is now is exactly where theta was back in, June 25th, I think? And then the very next day, this is what we got. We had 5 waves up, we had an ABC, and we broke out. So basically I was saying, can we break out since we got stuck right on that resistance? Plus, as you know, theta was on a 3-day 9. And we're going to get more into the altcoins later in the week, but I really wanted to just highlight Bitcoin. So now fast forward today, we have the exact same pattern theta did. We had this move up, right, this three-way pullback, and now it's sitting right here. So if it did the exact same thing theta did, we should see a little bit of a pullback and then a pump to the upside. So that's what we want to see Bitcoin do. I mean, that's exactly what theta did, so why not Bitcoin? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe let's get 5. And if we do that, then we want another three-way pullback and then another 5 up. And maybe we're creating some kind of diagonal pattern. I didn't think about that. So we have some kind of diagonal pattern like this. So basically it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, some kind of diagonal, right? And then we have an ABC pullback, a big one that retraces, probably gets us back down here to these lows around 60K, and then that would be the bottom there, and then we can take off and go. So if we get something like this, then we probably don't need that bullish divergence because we had a 5-wave diagonal with a 3-wave pullback. All right, guys, I think that's about it. Let me look at total 3 real quick. Not very interesting. I mean, we kind of have this little inverse shape in here, but you kind of have a head and shoulders here. It's building a base. It could be, you know, a 4th wave, and then you need a 5th wave, or if the bottom is in, we want to see 5 waves. So we'll see how this plays out. XRP real quick. XRP, where are you at? There you are. So XRP is forming another triangle. Jeez, I mean, XRP is like in love with triangles. So again, this could be a 4th wave triangle here. What I mean by that is you have 1, 2, 3, and then you have A, B, C, D, E, a triangle here, and then you break down for 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You swoop down in here, you get a nice U shape, and then hopefully we can get out of there, right? Because we were looking at this as potential Wyckoff accumulation. So we'll see how that holds up in here. So here's the example, right? XRP, Wyckoff. You kind of want to, you know, hash out this bottom in here. If it's going to play out, it could be also a different schematic where you actually break the low and get a spring. The one thing that's going to save us next week is the DXY. If this thing can break down, which it could maybe look like it's kind of creating a wedge in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it kind of looks like it needs to pull back down here. So we might have a little bit of bullishness in crypto if this thing can pull back. But if it does pull back, you know, it could set us up for another wave higher for the DXY. So we might have a little bit of relief here. You know, that could be our 4th wave in crypto, then our 5th wave in crypto, and then yeah, we'll see how that plays out. But QNT has actually fallen quite a bit here, and you know, it's kind of getting into a point where, you know, it could look like a decent buying opportunity. I'm actually looking at the 5-day chart. You actually have a 9 here. We have 2 consecutive 9s, both of them perfected. So, you know, this thing could be getting exhausted. I would, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if we get some kind of a bigger 4th wave up here, right, and come back here and then get that final flush. It's gonna be hard to kind of gauge, but we'll see. I mean, you could just see VeChain, for example, coming right back down to the support area right in here. So it wouldn't surprise me to get a bounce up in here. So we could be getting bullish here this week coming here. We should, I would imagine, it get some a little bit of a relief. Now if Bitcoin has another move down, we could, just rip the band-aid off and get that final flush. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm just kind of skimming through some charts here. Solana has a decent three-wave A, B, C, kind of like a flat. This could be a 1, 2. Maybe we get 3, 4, 5. We'll see. It doesn't look completely finished though. It looks like it might need a little bit more. Theta Fuel still holding up, right? Theta Fuel is going to stay bullish, because we're essentially back testing now, right? So we had a big 1, 2. We had another big wave up. And this thing could be an expanded flat, A, B, C, right? So we have that A, B, C structure. Let's build a base, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. We might need one more, fifth down, but all in all, it's looking pretty good. All right, guys, that'll do it for this video. Hope you enjoyed the update. Please hit that like button if you can, and also hit subscribe if you haven't. And drop a comment and let me know what you guys think. Are you guys bullish? Are you bearish? What do you think of this summer? I mean, do you think we're gonna get a fifth wave, or do you think we might need to continue to range until the fall and winter? Let me know what you think, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.